everyone. Welcome to the Wolf Beat. My name is Joy Hamilton, your host. And today we have the Sampson family joining us. We have Marie, Virgil, and Tom. Welcome.
Thank you.
Now, the reason you guys came on the show today was because you wanted to talk about an event coming up. Could you tell us a little bit about that, Marie?
Well, this is will be our 29th annual, and it's to honor our late mother, Wutantmy, who her name is Alice Sampson, that was given to her. Mm-hmm. And to carry her culture into this territory, West Coast, the cultural West Coast culture, it was two different types of cultures that we're practicing at times. And this is how we wanted to honor our mother, by taking part in the Pow Wow. And there's been a bit of discussion about that with a lot of the elders across the Pow Wow country about it not being a Pow Wow. Really, it's a sacred circle where people come to pray. Mm-hmm. And I mean, my late brother John was discussing it with Tom and Angel at the beginning about honoring our mother in this way. And it brings people from all around, from Canada and US, even the visitors that come. My brother Virgil is our PR guy. He's gotten people from different places around the world to come to our event, and they've been coming since. And it's a very enlightening way of practicing our culture. It's very healing when we're out there dancing and singing. And the songs that we sing, our late brother John, we got help from one of our relatives at the beginning who's passed on now, from late Alex Paul and his family from the Swinomish tribe in the US, who helped us out in the beginning. And that's what we find it was very rewarding for us to start practicing our mother's culture. And that was her wish, was to learn our dad's culture first before we started it on hers. And so this is how our brothers Tom and Angel and John talked about this in the beginning, is how to honor our mother in this way. And it's very rich. It's very rich. It's gone all around the world with the Pow Wow, and they've become a lot more competition Pow Wows now, where it's not so much looked at as a sacred circle. And that's what the elders have been talking about, is here and all across Canada and US, they've been trying to get back to their original state of honoring, our culture in that healing manner. And it is very strengthening when you put your full spirit into it, and it's very, very rich to feel this in the connection between the land and the skies. It's hard to explain because of how sacred and the spirituality we have in a lot of our culture. There's so much we've learned from a lot of our elders, that how we must carry ourselves now. Like, I'm a dancer and I carry a sacred item that it guides my life. It's called it's an eagle whistle. And me and my late brother John carry one, and this is one of the ways people will come to us and ask to pray for them. And it's not just our people. A lot of the non-natives have approached me and my late brother John to pray for them. Mm-hmm. At this one time, this lady lost her mother, and she approached me at one of our powwows, and she says, my mother's still following me and I need somebody to pray for me. So we did that, and we prayed for her, and it lifted her right up, because her mother was still following her because of the mourning she was in, and that really lifted her back up to who she wanted to carry herself again in a proper way. So there's a lot of people that depend on what we do at our powwow, how sacred and how healing it really is. And I myself and a lot of the guys I know around powwow country, it's how we honor our own people in a lot of ways. It's something that the younger ones need to start learning to pick up the values and the teachings that go along with how to carry yourself. Because with the eagle whistle we carry for praying, we're not allowed to be angry. We're not allowed to be jealous, envious, or any kind of sour mood. So that guides us to carry ourselves in the right way. And sometimes it's very difficult in today's times, like what we went through with the COVID. It put a halt to a lot of our culture. And that's finally we're starting to pick it back up and get back into the annual event again. And my brothers have some things to say too. It's very honoring to represent our mother in this way, to carry her culture to the younger ones in our family and those that come to our powwow each year. They've really missed it because of COVID, and so many of them are very glad that we started it up again, and we will be hosting it at the Tsartlip soccer field this year. It's on 850 Stelly's Crossroad, and July 19th, 20th, and 21st. And the events that we'll be taking, there will be maybe some memorials to honor someone that has passed on, and a lot of people have done that where they've carried it to the powwow circle to, have a memorial for people they've lost, and that how it picks you right back up of having a memorial at this type of cultural event.
So is this open to the public, to everybody to come?
Yeah, that song we sang earlier it was an intertribal or a grand entry song, which during intertribals, all the dancers can come out and dance, and even the spectators, the non-natives, and it's called the intertribal song, where everyone can come out and dance their own style.
That's great. And so then everybody has a chance to be able to enjoy your culture and to get into what your teachings.
Oh, yeah. It's very enriching to hear it from a lot of the non-natives. I had my pictures taken from people from Japan and different parts of the world where, they feel so good about themselves that they've come to our event, that, like I say, it enlightens a lot of people in that spiritual way. And Virgil, does a lot of the contacts. He's our PR guy. He does a lot of the contacts. He contacts the vendors, and a lot of the singers and dancers, they contact me, and our sister Angel is another person that plays a big part of organizing the funds and stuff. And it's quite expensive to put on an event like this. It probably costs us around $30,000 now. Because when we first started, it was around $20,000, $22,000, but now the cost of living has gone up so much. It's costing us a lot more to purchase stuff for what we need at our event. So, and Virgil has a lot of good ideas of raising money himself. So, and I'll let him explain a lot of the things he does in our circle, and we hope that people will start coming out to see these types of events. It's not just for our people, it's for all people to come enjoy and share some, barbecued salmon, Indian tacos, Indian hot dogs. And Indian tacos is one of the favorites of people all around the sacred circle. And our family puts on a good event for the people. So I'm very proud of our family, the way we've carried it on to honor our mother and the Nez Perce people. And our mother came from the Chief Joseph tribe. And our grandmother, her brother was Yellow Wolf, who was another chief that fought against U.S. cavalry. One of the last wars they had with the Nez Perce was within the U.S. cavalry, and they were very honorable men to defend their people in that way. So we carry a very, very strong feeling about our mother's tribe because of how they defended their own lifestyle and their way of life by being forced onto reserves. And I find it very honorable to still carry on with our brothers and sisters, and now our nieces and grandnieces and nephews we have so many dancers in our family now that come out to honor our late parents.
And that's so important.
Yes.
And I know from going myself to I'm from the Cree culture in northern Saskatchewan, and I managed to go to a like your Pow Wow, but they called it a cultural camp, and it was more or less, we have different type of ceremonies, but still they're ceremonies,
Yeah.
and they're for not just the elders and for other people, but mostly for the young, which is very important to carry on that tradition, I would think.
Oh, yeah.
So Tom, welcome.
Okay.
I was wondering if you could touch a little bit about your mother, and could you tell me about her and where she comes from, and a little bit about why she is so important to all of you?
Well, I never really got into this powwow. And first of all, our people never called it a powwow. It was brought in by the non-Indigenous people that they said, well, they're having a powwow, and that became part of the wording that we use now. And it was never used before. Most of the gatherings there were ceremonies, a naming ceremony, and many of the ceremonies families do throughout the year, but they never called it a powwow until the new generation came along and didn't know the meaning of the ceremony, because it's not a powwow, but we've come to use it. So what I asked my grandmother when she came here, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 years ago, maybe longer, I said, what does that mean, Grandma? And she started to talk about it. She said, I go to church, I don't go to the powwow all the time. So it's not that she didn't like it. It's just that, like here in Canada and the United States, the Christian pushed their religion on us and pushed out our culture and our purpose of personal identity of our people. Mm-hmm. Whether you're the Coast Salish or Nuu-chah-nulth, Kwagyu, Haida, Mohawk, we've had a way of talking about things we needed to do to keep our children growing up in a way that they would know not only who they are, but know their family. And that's kind of the thing that we talk about quite a bit now. A lot of families, and I never saw my great-grandfather, my mother's father. I never saw him. Because he was here in Canada all the time. I saw him, one of my great-grandmas from Idaho. She died a year, I don't know, maybe it was about 5 or 6 years old. And my mom had to go home, back to Idaho, to go to home for the ceremonies there. There's a lot of words we use now, ceremonies, people dying. We don't use what our language tells us. We're sort of become English people, and in a lot of ways we don't talk about the way it should be, so that children will grow up in a good way. So that's my mom become a Coast Salish woman, and she became fluent in two accents, the Sanchothan and the Hulkaminam. Those are the two languages Coast Salish people have. And my mother became very fluent in both languages by the time she was 15, 16, because she had to listen to my great-grandmother. The ceremonies we have regarding you're calling powwow now, is designed to help the children remember who they are and why they do certain dances. all the dancers that I saw, it was explained to me, one of the elders from the Nez Perce, he says he's a traditional dancer, but he's not traditional. He called it by what the song says and what the dance represents, whether it's a coyote or a wolf or a bear or something like that. Our children got removed so far from what the realities of things they need to know because of the Christian schools, residential school, day school, on all education. There's a great effort and intention now to try to give a better understanding of what a gathering is about. We do this in the winter time, and it's very clear to us what we have to do when we go to the big house, or they call longhouse. And that's another word that's not in our language. It's not a longhouse, it's a big house, called Tsartlip or Stelly in our language. And the children today are using the word, the English accent, English understanding, calling it a big house or long house. So a lot of work, when we do our gathering in the summertime, when we first talked about this and our mother in 1969, I guess, when we first began to talk to Mom. And when my oldest daughter graduated from high school, she gave her shawl that she used to use, and that's the shawl she uses when she dances, the reminder of her great-grandmother. These are the things that are very important to gatherings of the tribes, whether it's here in British Columbia or somewhere in North America. I hope that, our purpose this year, like has been for every year, is to try to get a better understanding between the new people coming to this continent called Canada, United States. And it's been a great struggle for our people. The winter dances, summer ceremonies we do. They burned our long houses down, big houses down. And they stopped us from going to the winter ceremonies, but we had to go to church on Sunday, and we had to go to confession to a priest or somebody. So a lot of the things we try to do now through this gathering this summer, representing our family, the Wutantmy was our mother's name, her Nez Perce name. My grandmother's brother was Yellow Wolf, and that's how we got using this name, Yellow Wolf. Yellow Wolf was a first cousin to Chief Joseph of the Nez Perce. Their parents were cousins, related to each other. But children today we're getting so caught up in celebration, and we forget that why we're doing it. We try hard, and when we do these gatherings, like summer gathering, the Pow Wow time, they call. In the winter time, it's not caused that, because we do exactly what we need to do, whether it's a naming or a memorial or something. These are clearly defined by the family and the speaker of the family or the speaker of the community. These are some of the things a lot of the young people are having difficulty with, because we've been trained to think like a Christian and trained to speak only English, which caused a lot of problems. I didn't start school till I was about 6 years old, I guess. My grandma used to take me into Washington State, go hop picking. That's where she met my dad met my mother. So we used to go there together till the end of September, and by then they'd all taken the kids away from home to residential school. We talk about, I think, what needs to be better understood why we gather. It's the purpose of gathering. It's not a powwow like we use that word. It's kind of a funny word. I'm not quite sure what powwow means. But in our winter ceremonies, we do it, we have a clear word for those words. And my grandma, when she came here from Idaho, she says, these powwow people don't even know why they're doing it. They're having a powwow, but they don't know what it really is. Some of the more recent years, the last maybe 30 years or so, they're beginning to define these gatherings in a summer gathering called powwow. And it's good to see that, because then the children now know why they're doing it. Whereas before they just get all dressed up in regalia and feathers and stuff like that. And the elder from Yakima, Idaho said, you know, each one of those feathers that the children use are earned. They're not just given to them. Their whole regalia that they use, according to the elder from Osaka, Kamiai, who talked about, that's Idaho.
Mm-hmm.
So these are the kind of things we're trying to do right now in modern time. But I hope, you know, that people will come and it is kind of happening, not in a real powerful way, but it's sort of like a beginning, which is good.
Well, I believe that it'll probably be a wonderful celebration, you know, coming up.
Yeah.
And we all look forward to being there and be part of it. I just want to touch really quickly, Virgil. I know that this, when you talked about your mother, can you just briefly, quickly tell us just a quick about her, and what was her contribution to the community, you know, why it was so important?
Well, I believe our mother is very inspirational, not only to our family, but to relatives of local communities, and you know, to come up here from Idaho, Nez Perce territory, like Tom said, and picked up 2 dialects of Senchothan and Hulkamunum, and you know, that it took a lot to learn that. And also she was very inspirational. Her and a few other women from Tsartlip and Pakwachin and Sayo, they played a really big role in saving the education for our children. And my mom and Frida Cooper and Geraldine Underwood and Claxton.
Frida Cooper.
Yeah, and they used to pick up the children and bring them to school out of their own gas money in cars, and so they played a really big role. And Mom was also a very talented Salish knitting, so she did a lot of knitting and was very crafty, and I think that's where we get a lot of our artistic skills in our family too. So she was very inspirational, and after our Dad passed, she you know, carried on with all of us, and my brother Tom here is the eldest of the family, and I'm the youngest, and yeah, so she was the people just loved our mom, of the role she played in, and they called her Mom Al, and Mom was very, very friendly, and the natives, non-natives, all just loved our mom and really well respected her and the other women that played influential roles in our communities. So yeah, she's quite the woman.
Yeah, it's very nice to hear that, you know, to hear that you have, you know, a lot of inspiration, a lot of good memories of your mother, and that she holds a big part of this celebration coming up.
Very visionary, for sure. Yeah.
Well, I just want to say thank you very much for all 3 of you coming, And it was very nice talking to you. And I know everybody listening, I hope will come out and join the celebration.
Oh, yeah.
Can I just add one more thing?
Certainly.
Our event is at 800 Stelly's Crossroad, which is right next to Brentwood Bay.
Again, I'd like to thank you for coming on to the program. And
Thank you for inviting us.
Yes.
Letting us come here.
Yeah, we're looking forward to seeing everybody at our event, and open to the general public, and come and enjoy some artisans and song and dance competition.
well, I'm sure everybody will have a
It'll
great
be
time.
a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We'll have a lot of fun on our 3-day event. Thank you, Joy.
Okay, thank you very much.
It's very honorable to be here with you.
Thank you.